to a population of approximately 110,000 people, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a multi-island state located in the lower half of the archipelago of islands that comprise the Caribbean region. Covering a land area of 389 square kilometers, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is comprised of 32 islands and islets. These include mainland St. Vincent and 8 inhabited Grenadine islands. The other islets are uninhabited. Apart from the main island, the Grenadine islands of Bequia, Canouan, and Union Island have significant energy demands, with the entire multi-island state being highly dependent on imported petroleum products, such as diesel, gasoline, kerosene, and butane LPG, for usage in electricity generation, transport, cooking, and water heating. Since 2002, the price of petroleum on the world market has increased significantly, resulting in a drastic hike in spending on the importation of fossil fuels for small island developing states, such as St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The development of renewable energy technologies and initiatives presents not only a viable option for providing cheaper energy sources for citizens, but it also reduces the government's bill for importing fossil fuel. The Energy Unit was established circa 2008 to promote policies and programs that will contribute towards the reduction of the dependence on imported fuel by exploiting indigenous sources through the promotion of sustainable energy and environmental sustainability.
Promoting access to clean energy services in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a GEF-supported project. The Global Environmental Facility provided funding to the tune of $1.7 million US to the government to promote clean energy services. And this project is being implemented by the UNDP out of Barbados. There are 3 basic components to this project. Component 1 has to do with capacity building capacity at the institutional level, providing our people, building their capacity for training, understanding the issue of renewable energy, installation and design of systems. And secondly, policy and legislation. There are a number of policies in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that need to be looked at. The country has already developed an energy policy and an energy action plan. This project will look at the policy and the action plan to see how far it relates to current trends in renewable energy and will make adjustment to those policies in keeping with those trends. And things that were not envisaged many years ago, this project would include them. And thirdly, there is a renewable energy demonstration component. There are basically 2 areas where we're using project funds for project demonstration. First of all, we're going to have demonstration in solar PV at the Argyle International Airport. The project will install 105 kilowatt of power at the Argyle International Airport and 50 kilowatt at the Belial Correctional Facility. The project also purchased a clean energy vehicle. So we are into mobile vehicles using batteries, electric vehicles as we call them. It is also hoped to promote policy issues among stakeholders so that people who intend to invest in solar PV systems can do so knowing that there is a possibility that they can have a return on their investment.
In particular, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the use of solar water heaters and inverter air conditioning units is becoming more popular. Both systems reduce energy costs in the long term and also lower the user's carbon footprint.
What we're doing today is we're installing a 5 kilowatt solar PV system on a home. This system is anticipated to contribute to about 80% of the homeowner's electricity consumption. Today we are actually installing the solar panels on the roof. In total, the entire job should take about 3 days to complete. Thereafter, there are requirements for the Government Electrical Inspectorate and the utility VINLEC to inspect the installation before it's turned on. As I said, they should contribute to about 80% of the homeowner's electricity costs. And he should start seeing those savings immediately from the time that the solar PV system has been activated.
We've been for a long while interested in solar or wind or combination. And the simple fact of life is that the good God has given us sunlight practically 365 days a year, and is incumbent on us to make best use of that and reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and the carbon footprint. So in a nutshell, that tells you why we've done this project. Currently we're running 33.5 kilowatts, and we're going to add an additional 19 kilowatts onto the new roof when that extension is complete. The savings amounts to just about half, around 50, between 49, 48, and say 50, 52%. That's the benefit to us. That's significant to our way of thinking. I encourage as many business people to move to solar, particularly those in manufacturing.
Renewable energy is beneficial in that it guarantees a clean, reliable, and affordable energy supply to Vincentians. It can strengthen the national economy by reducing dependence on fossil fuels. It can stabilize and reduce energy consumption per capita in the medium and long term, and it has the potential to liberalize the energy market by encouraging and accommodating private sector participation in energy development and services, thereby fostering competitiveness and lower prices.
I suppose the big question people will ask, is this something that's good for our terrain?
Absolutely.
If I head down for Chateaubriand,
Absolutely.
I'm coming up Bel-Air,
Because of the...
and I'm coming up Lomans Hill, and I walk back into Tug, and I feel this slowing down. Is that the sort of thing that will happen?
Because of the regenerative braking. This is the vehicle for us, right?
What's regenerative braking?
Regenerative braking is when you... Okay, so you're driving. When you're driving, you pull in power from the battery.
Yes.
From the time you come off the gas pedal, when you hit on the brake, the motors turn into generators and you actually recharge the battery. So you can actually extend the range of the vehicle on the regenerative braking.
If I stop and it's idling, it's generating at a time?
No, you have to be moving and slowing, decelerating. And then you'll be recharging the battery because the motors have to be spinning.
I see. If I'm going down a hill and pressing brakes,
You'll be in
generating.
regenerative mode, yes.
But if I'm going up a hill and pressing X,
You're pulling. Once you're on the gas, you're pulling power from the battery.
yeah. Put on the X as the gas.
As the gas, yes.
Yes.
You're pulling power from the battery.
Okay.
In 2009, the energy policy was established, and one of the guiding principles of the energy policy was to provide a clean, affordable, reliable energy service to all Vincentians. So one of the mandates of the energy policy is really to ensure that we exploit and explore all natural resources for renewable energy, that being solar, wind, or geothermal.
The most significant renewable energy project currently being spearheaded by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is that of geothermal energy. At an estimated cost of US $82 million, the government has partnered with Reykjavik Geothermal, Emera Caribbean Incorporated, the Clinton Climate Initiative, and VINLEC to deliver a 10 to 15 megawatt geothermal power plant located at the base of La Soufrière volcano. This particular project has the potential to provide approximately 60% of the electricity needs of St. Vincent and the Grenadines residents and businesses.
This site is called Bamboo Range, and below this site is where we have selected our production site to do the production wells. We're going to do 3 wells. 3 wells at about 2.5 kilometers deep. It'll take about 60 days to drill 1 well, 24 hours per day. What we need for this successful drilling is a lot of water. And the plan is to dam the river beyond this point that will provide enough water for the drill rig. The requirement for this particular drill rig is about 50 liters per second. So there's a lot of water that we will require, and we have everything in place that will facilitate a successful drill.
St. Vincent the Grenadines is now like a virtual laboratory in the development of real and practical and feasible energy products. From energy efficiency to the traditional hydroelectricity expansion, to solar, biogas, and soon geothermal energy. Now, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is on the threshold of significant developments in renewable and energy efficiency.
As part of the development of the National Energy Transition Strategy, or NETS, key stakeholders in St. Vincent and the Grenadines undertook an Integrated Resource Plan, or IRP, to investigate electricity options for the country. These stakeholders include VINLEC, the Government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Carbon War Room, and the Clinton Foundation.
An IRP is a commonly used process to take a look at what's coming in the future in the electricity sector, what the electricity needs of the country will be, and what are the options to meet those needs, taking a very integrated and whole systems approach to find the optimal pathway for the electricity system of the future. The process in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been advanced through strong leadership from both VINLEC and the Energy Unit. And our organization, as a nonprofit organization, has led the analysis and contributed as an independent and third-party objective voice in bringing the IRP together. And it's been very exciting to look forward and see some exciting opportunities ahead for the electricity sector in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The St. Vincent Electricity Services Limited, more commonly referred to as VINLEC, has been at the forefront of the renewable energy thrust in SVG. Following much research and analysis, VINLEC has embarked on increasing its capacity for generating hydropower, which is the production of electricity utilizing water pressure.
This area is the ponding area where the water coming from the river. The sediment set up in the ponding area, and then it's channeled into this channel and into a settling chamber, and then into the pipeline and down to the power station.
The 3 main hydropower stations being upgraded are those at Richmond, Cumberland, and South Rivers.
VINLEC has 3 hydropower stations. We have the South Rivers Hydropower Station that was established in the early 1950s, started generation in 1952, and the Richmond Hydropower Station, which started generation in 1962, and the most recent being the Cumberland Hydropower Station. Both the South Rivers Hydropower Station and the Richmond Hydropower Station, they have reached the end of their design life. In fact, the South Rivers Hydropower Station has been running for over 60 years, while Richmond has been running for over 50 years. And we need to either replace or rehabilitate these hydropower stations so that we can get another 30 to 50 years of useful production from these facilities. So we embarked on a project to completely refurbish the power station at Richmond and South Rivers, as well as the pipeline facility, to ensure that future generations will have good source of hydropower going forward. Well, the pipeline aspect, we're replacing in total nearly 3 kilometers of pipeline between the power stations, Richmond and South Rivers. Approximately nearly 2 kilometers at South Rivers and just under 1 kilometer at Richmond. Traditionally, we have used the wood stave technology, which use steel bands to band pieces of wood together to form a pipeline. And we have moved to a glass reinforced plastic pipeline. And we have done this for various reasons. We have to look at the financial aspect. The glass reinforced plastic technology, it's cheaper technology. And there are some technical benefits to using the glass reinforced plastic. It gives better flow characteristics and reduces the loss that you can have in the pipeline. Importantly also, we can bury the pipeline, and after the incidents in 2010, 2011 and 2013, we made a decision that we are going to bury as much of the pipeline as we can to harden them and make them more resistant to climate change events, which involve a lot of floodings, hurricanes, and so on.
In addition to the rehabilitation of the hydropower stations, solar photovoltaic paneling is being installed at key locations across SVG. These locations include the Argyle International Airport, where solar PV will contribute to the energy requirements of the airport, and the Belle Isle Correctional Facility. Solar PV will also be installed at the SVG Community College's Village campus.
It's a 22 kilowatt project, which is probably the best energy source that you can have in these latitudes. And one of the things that we hope that would come out of this project is that the college, firstly, and also the government and people of St. Vincent and Grenadines see the usefulness of using solar energy. Not only the cost savings, but also the environmental benefits that can be derived from this energy source. One of the things that we are also hopeful for as well is that the college in particular would expand the project and be able to cover more of its bills using solar. And who knows, probably sometime in the future it can be a fully solar-powered campus. Since the installation in September 2016, the college has saved about 14,000 EC dollars, and that is up until May 21st, 2017. So that is considerable savings from a 22 kilowatt system. And of course, if that were expanded, then the savings would only increase. Of course, in November last year, we had very few hours of sunlight because of the trough systems that we had. And also, May has been thus far quite hazy, I'm told, due to Saharan dust. So these savings can be even increased if we have typical weather for these periods of the year.
Additionally, solar PV systems have been installed at Vinlec's engineering complex, various government buildings, the reverse osmosis desalination plant in Beckway, and at power plants in Lomans Bay and Kane Hall.
Well, we have installed approximately 570 kilowatts of solar.
Our PV array comprises 1,465 panels or modules, right? Each module is capable of producing 37 volts, but on load we will have about 30 volts from each of them. They are then connected in series or in strings. That will take the voltage up to about 450. Comes at 450 volts DC. Comes into the inverter at this point. It leaves the inverter as AC around 450. From this point it goes over to an isolator through a breaker, then onto a second isolator that separates this bus from our transformer. Now the transformer has 400 volts one side, steps up to 11,000 volts, which is our normal normal transmission voltage and join the system at that point.
We believe that even outside of the area of renewable energy, there is much to be done in the area of energy development and electricity development in Vincent. And our challenge is going to be how we continue to meet the energy needs, taking into consideration the new dynamics in energy now.
Private owners and the business sector have also been encouraged to invest in purchasing electric and hybrid vehicles as a means of not only lessening the demand for the importation of fossil fuels, but also as a way of cutting carbon emissions that pollute the air and have a negative effect on the environment. An electric vehicle and a hybrid were on display at the financial complex last April during the launch of an electric charging station.
All right, so here we have the first fully electric vehicle in St. Vincent, as opposed to the one we just saw, which is the hybrid, which has the gas engine and electric drive. This has absolutely no gas engine at all. Right? If you come closer, right, what we have here, inside we have the power distribution module, or the PDM. Underneath this is the inverter. Underneath that is the two motors with a gear reduction drive, right? The PDM is responsible for all the power distribution for the car. All the orange cables are the high tension cables. You'd also notice that we have a small battery. That's the vehicle's auxiliary battery for like the radio, lights, everything else. The high voltage battery for the car is under the passenger compartment. This car has no internal moving parts. There's no oil changes to be done. There is no maintenance to be done except on the gear reduction drives. There's fluid in there, but the service life for that is long. These are the charging ports. Unlike the hybrid vehicle that you don't have to plug in, this one has to plug in. You've got your fast charge port and your home port. The fast charge port will take about 30 minutes to charge the vehicle. The home port is about 4 to 8 hours.
However, we are also looking at an area of large energy uses, the transportation sector, and planning our thrust into the use of electrical and hybrid vehicles. The National Energy Committee will be monitoring all these activities in the energy sector and ensure that St. Vincent and Grenadines has cheap, affordable energy, and that renewable energy and energy efficiency becomes something that every Vincentian adopts, whether it's at their home, at work, or in their vehicles.
Solar energy is something I've always given consideration to, but how it was going to be done was always the question about the cost of installation and whether it was worth doing. Our electricity bill has been ranging between $500 and $600 depending on usage. We thought that this was a little bit much, so we decided to look into installing some solar panels. The system was installed. It's a 12,000 kVA system. It was installed in October of 2015. It was raining during that month, and so we didn't see any movement, not much in November. But by December, there was an appreciable difference between our electricity bill and what we had actually saved. I think we paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $39 by December of 2015. And by January of 2016, we had a credit. VINLEC had a credit for us at VINLEC. So of an amount, I think it was somewhere under $100. Since that time, our credits have been going up, which means we haven't actually been paying anything. So we were saving that $500 to $600 a month since January of 2016. I am satisfied with the system, and I think it's something that anybody who can afford to install it should do. Because as a matter of fact, I wondered, what would you do if you don't have it? You continue to pay high electricity bills, and therefore I think people should try everything in their powers to get a system like this installed. I would recommend it for anyone.
An electric mobility conference was also held late in May and June, at which the benefits of purchasing electric vehicles were promoted specifically to the business community.
The arrival of an electric vehicle in St. Vincent came under the PACE project, which is promoting access to clean energy services. You know, it is really the team on which we are building. Electric vehicles are safe, they're efficient, they can do what you require, and at the same time, they are good for the environment.
The conference also addressed incentives being introduced for consumers and ways the government intends to replace revenue currently gained from fuel sales.
The government has been concerned about the revenue loss at the pump. So for every litre of gasoline and diesel sold in Barbados, they're charging 2% as a tax plus the VAT. So I don't know if that's similar in St. Vincent, and if so, that would need to be worked into this.
Since late last year, renewable energy workshops have been held across the country, specifically geared towards educating the public and those operating within the energy sector about the potential of renewable energy initiatives and products. These workshops have been held in Cattels, North Union, and Kingstown with renewable energy experts from the region, including presentations by Dr. Indra Harak Singh, Dr. Graham Ryan, and Sandra Britton.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines, beautiful tourist island, and I think we want to keep it like that, and we want to keep it from environmental pollution. So that's one of the main reasons why we would like to go towards PV implementation. But I think that this country has very good potential. We certainly have the resource, so that's not the problem. The cost of photovoltaics has decreased tremendously, and therefore it is much more affordable now.
Because of the distance I'm living from the main, I've decided to use solar system because it was quite expensive to get current from the main supplier. It's a standalone system where we have the panels, the control box, and batteries. It's a 3 kilowatt system which supply all the energy that we need. We have 16 panels, which is monocrystalline, and we carry 12 batteries, which is gel type. So those are less maintenance for those. You just have to check the connections, make sure they're tight every month or so.
Many of the countries have already signed on, and they have already started the process of moving towards achieving some of the targets. For example, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has already has 18% of their share in renewable energy, and they've started also energy efficiency measures where they're looking towards, for example, the airport, as they said, has some energy efficient equipment and appliances.
Geothermal energy represents a wonderful opportunity for St. Vincent. It's a kind of energy that is an indigenous energy source for St. Vincent and can be a very cost-effective way of generating energy on the island and kind of revolutionize the kind of energy mix here.
Members of the private sector are also moving towards renewable energy for the operation of their businesses. One such example is the Mystique Company, which has installed solar PV paneling, and several electric and hybrid vehicles are in use there. According to Justin Providence, head of Mystique Company's Renewable Energy Department, Within the next 7 years, it is projected that Mustique's entire energy demand will be fulfilled using renewable energy.
At present, we have installed over 1 megawatt of solar, and we have installed at the power plant over 10.7 megawatts of diesel. 10% of the energy produced on a daily basis is from solar, so we have a 10% saving on that as well.
Apart from the economic benefits derived from utilizing renewable energy initiatives and products, it is also beneficial to the environment. The consumption of petroleum products on a global scale has fueled environmental concerns, specifically in relation to climate change. The release of carbon dioxide, produced by burning petroleum products, contributes to the greenhouse effect, which is the increase of the Earth's surface temperature due to the trapping of the sun's warmth in the lower atmosphere. Referred to as global warming, this causes sea levels to rise, which is detrimental to low-lying areas such as the smaller islands of the Caribbean, St. Vincent and the Grenadines included. The greenhouse effect also causes changes in climate conditions, such as lower precipitation and a higher occurrence and intensity of hurricanes. Although small island and developing states like SVG are only minor contributors to the global greenhouse effect, they are the most vulnerable to its detrimental effects. The use of renewable energy initiatives and products provides an exceptionally beneficial alternative to fossil fuels and can contribute to lessening the effects of climate change.
So part of going forward, I think one of the things that we would have to do is work more closely with our customers to have a greater integration between what the company is doing, what their desires are, and to ensure we continue to provide a high quality service on a network that is stable, efficient, and providing the energy at the lowest possible cost to essentially fuel economic and social development in St. Vincent.
At the moment, we have 20% of our electricity supply by hydro. We are improving the capacity in those hydro plants. Hopefully, before the end of 2019, we will have 80% generation of electricity by renewables, because we have a big renewable energy project in geothermal. We're a big source of geothermal energy. And then, of course, there's solar. Of course, in road transportation, we are looking at matters of hybrid vehicles. We also, generally speaking, not looking at renewables only, but energy efficiency, type of equipment to use, type of lighting. The whole array of energy efficiency matters. And we want to build all of these things into our overall public policy, and very much so in our building code. In short, we are making tremendous progress in keeping with the central tenets of our policy on energy, and particularly so in renewables. In this regard, we work not only with the private sector, but with non-governmental agencies globally and with multilateral financial institutions. And, there's a fair amount of resources available, and we are tapping into them. We have an energy unit attached to the Office of the Prime Minister. I'm the Minister of Energy, and there are other supporting institutional arrangements, including through state-owned electricity company within Enlightens.
Renewable energy is the way forward in order to preserve our way of life as we know it. so that future generations can enjoy and thrive in it too.